Hello everybody, welcome to Dakman Productions Studio. How's everybody doing today? My name is Sean Conahey, and I am the owner of the Dakman Productions YouTube channel. So a lot has gone on here in the basement of Dakman Productions slash Conahey Rail. Sadly, the first thing I want to say, in December, Conahey Rail suffered a devastating flood here in the basement, which I'm still recovering from, which is why you have not seen any videos from Conahey Rail. Still working on that. Eventually, hopefully within the next few weeks, I'll have everything in order to bring you videos from Conahey Rail. On top of the flood in December, and thankfully none of the trains got hurt, but still there was other damages that had to be taken care of. But and then on top of that, in January, I guess our Air Force decided to experiment with a jet that went into supersonic mode and created a sonic boom. And I remember at work, I thought somebody was pounding on the door from outside, but it was just like moving in and out on its own. Like, what's going on here? And then we found out on our cell phones there was a experimental jet that they decided to go into supersonic mode. So when I got home that day, I had some light fixtures that were hanging down here in the basement. Yay! So the light fixtures were damaged. They rattled themselves off the rafters. And so as you can see, I'm in the midst of replacing the ones that were damaged with LED. I'm probably just going to go all LED down here in the basement. So that's the goal, to go all LED lighting. I would like to ask the viewers, who should I address the bill to at the Department of Defense for wrecking my lighting in my basement? Like, that's going to ever happen. But anyway, I guess I can laugh about it now. So what is today's video going to be about, since I'm not running trains today? I decided to do a historical video on Dakman Productions. The history, I guess you could say, behind Dakman Productions. How did it come to be? How did it start? How did this channel get started? And I'm doing this in hopes to help those who are like on the border, like, do I want to do this? Do I want to take videos or not do videos? Do I want to put myself on YouTube or not put myself on YouTube? This is not an easy thing to do. So what brought this idea to come up with this video? Well, I was, again, upgrading my hard drive. And I've had like 4 or 5 of them in the past, and as they've started to fail, I realized that, and I would just transfer it onto a bigger hard drive and just keep upgrading. So I think I'm on my 5th one. And as I'm going through my hard drive and all the past files that were on there all the way back, and it just brought back a lot of memories, and I'm like, wow, I really started off like this? It's like, but people don't realize, they look at my videos now and are like, oh wow, that's pretty nice videos you're doing and stuff, but I didn't start off that way, not at all. And hopefully, as embarrassing some of these videos are, hopefully people will say, yeah, okay, Dakman did start off, not so good, but then worked his way to where he's at now. And that's fine, that's cool. So let's give a quick little back history first before we get into the history of Dakman Productions. So as you realize, I start off in O-Gauge as a kid in 1976. Got out of it in 1988. Went on with life, did the car show scene, drag racing, all the cool stuff. I thought it was cool. I loved drag racing. I loved old muscle cars. Way before Barrett Jackson and Meckham Autos got a hold of these cars and drove the prices through the roof. you could buy a Dodge Challenger RT for $3,000 or $4,000 back then, and not anymore. But anyway, that's a whole different story. So in 1989, I bought a Dodge Challenger RT, all original, for like $3,500 out of a barn. Fixed it up, and it needed some paint, a little bit of restoration. By the time I was done with it, I had about $6,000 into it. So I started going to car shows with it, enjoying winning trophies and so forth and so on, having fun doing that scene. Ended up somewhere along the lines buying a 1973 Dodge Charger and fixing that up for car shows as well. So by the year 2000, I was pretty much done with the car show scene. There was just way too many politics into it for me, between the car clubs and all that stuff. I just wanted to be done with it. And at that point in time, I was just, with certain events that happened during those years, I just wanted to be alone. I didn't want to be around people anymore. I guess the car show scene itself was good in a way that I got to show my car, I got to win trophies, but when it came time for clubs and people who you thought were your friends and so forth and so on, but I won't get into that. That's just a whole different story. In 2000, I sold the Charger, made some money off of that, and bought my house in the year 2000. That's when I decided that I was going to build a G-scale layout instead of going back to O-gauge at that point in time. I decided to build a G-scale layout in my basement. It was just going to be me and the Trainz, and that's it. So there's the quick rundown. Now to get started on, well, how did I go from wanting to be by myself in a basement building the G-scale trains to being Dakman Productions and going to these train shows and interviewing people? So grab some popcorn, grab a soda, because it's going to be a good one. And even though, I'm a little hesitant to show you this, but because it is some of the stuff that I have done in the past is a little embarrassing. But you got to remember, my age, I had no computer experience at all. So when I was going through school, even in high school, I know this is going to blow a lot of people's minds away that are younger than me, but there was no such thing as computers in my high school. So when I was in my high school year, they were still teaching typing, the ding, ding, but at least it was electric. My mom actually has the mechanical version that's not electric, with the fingers that move. Ding. She actually called me up a few years ago saying, "Guess what? I found the ribbon for that typewriter you make fun of all the time." Well, that's good, Mom. I'm glad you're happy that you found ribbon for your mechanical typewriter. That you probably won't use that much again, but that's all right. So yeah, I had no computer experience, no camera experience, no experience with any electronics at all. So when you see this documentary or this history video, you keep that in mind, please. All right, so let's move on. Let's have some fun at Dakman's expense. As I mentioned, in 2000, I bought my house, started building a G-scale layout in the basement, locked myself in the basement for 7 long years. So from 2000 to 2007, it was just, me, and then I would invite family over. But in the meantime, sadly enough, I only took 4 pictures from 2000 to 2007. So I didn't even do documenting photos of my own layout until about 2008. So what changed my mind is I grabbed a hold of a Garden Railways magazine, got interested in what that magazine was all about, and then finally got involved with a website called Trainboard in 2008. Would be my first contact with people once again in 7 long years. Thanks to the Garden Railways magazine, my very first train show was the East Coast Large Scale Train Show in 2006, which I only took maybe about 4 or 5 pictures tops. But soon, once I joined Train Board, all that would change. I signed up on Train Board actually as EMD Trainman because I loved EMD train or diesel locomotives. And as EMD Trainman, I decided to share a couple of those pictures from 2006. And with the encouragement of the members on Train Board, they asked for more, not only more photos, but they wanted videos of what I was doing. So I decided to go ahead and open up a YouTube channel in 2008, actually under EMD Trainman. So my very first videos, or first series of videos, were actually shot with a Kodak 4 megapixel camera, not even a camcorder. I didn't even have a cell phone back then, nothing, just a basic, horrible Kodak 4 megapixel camera. And they were pretty crude. So, a little bit of embarrassing to see that now. I gotta laugh at myself though. It's like this is really how I got started. So it's sort of a reminder of where I started at. But anyway, let's take a look at my very first video ever as EMD Trainman in 2008. This is my very first video. Let's take a look. Hi, and welcome to EMD Trainman's indoor G-scale layout, named SB Rail Lines. The indoor layout uses approximately 300 feet of track, consists of 3 main lines, in which 3 trains can run at the same time with no problem. Main power is track powered with the Bridgeworks 1000 DL transformer, which puts out 15 amps, 24 volts of power. Today we are going to run my 2 USA SD70 Max, which are also made by USA Trainz. We are pulling 9 USA Trainz hopper cars and 9 55-foot modern hopper cars. And enjoy the video. Thank you. So yeah, this is the very first video that I shared on Trainboard as EMD Trainman. Now let me read to you a post that I made on Trainboard, and I say in my post, here is the my basement and my train layout, which has been and still is a project in the works. The basement was originally finished when I bought the house and was complete with a 6-person wet bar, a sink, a billiard table, dartboard, built-in wall stereo, complete with speakers throughout, and 2 beer fluorescent advertising lights, and a hideaway sofa with a queen-size mattress. Now, this all sounds good to somebody who likes to party, but I actually ripped all that out. So, before you say, boo, why would you do something like that? Remember, I'm a model train person. But, at any rate, I go on to say the last person just nailed the paneling direct to the cinder block wall, which created moisture. Therefore, became a problem with mold, earwigs, and termites. All this had to be torn all back out again, clean, and done over again. The supper room was originally the food area for all the parties of the previous owner. I built the room originally for my office, but then as the railroad grew, I needed the yard space, so I moved my office upstairs. The bar, the billiard table, the dartboard, all went out the door. I applied Loctite compound to the block walls, which is a moisture preventing compound. Then I put up a moisture barrier type of insulation. Then I studded the walls using 2x4s and R22 insulation between each stud with 3/8 sheet plywood. Of course, I will install moisture resistant type paneling. Needless to say, it's nice and cozy down here in the summertime. The members on Train Board were actually very encouraging. Surprisingly, now I look back on this, it's like they were really supportive of me doing these videos, as horrible as I think they are looking back on them now. But I have one member who says, "Awesome video. I wish I had a basement that big." And then another member says, "Wow, it looks like you have built quite a roster. What will you do for locomotives and rolling stock?" Part of my asking. Wow, wow, wow. Another one says, "Very cool videos. Some real beast pulling those trains." So I had a lot of encouragement from the members. So then it gave me the bright idea to come up with an intro as EMD Train Man, and I needed a production name now. So, yeah, this is where things really go out in left field, a little embarrassing for me. So I came up with a production name, and so what did I come up with? And what was my intro? So this was my EMD Trainman logo that I decided to use in my EMD Trainman movies. I really liked Rio Grande because of the colors and stuff. So back in my G scale days, instead of being Conrail, I was actually Rio Grande. So yeah, I decided to call myself Sean Co. Studios of all things. I look at that and I still laugh about that. It's like, what was I thinking? Why did I come up with that name? And plus, on top of that, I used a very, very crude paint program on some barbaric computer to even make this logo. It's like, what was I thinking? And it's like, yeah, I can look back and laugh about it now. And if the beginning EMD Trainman slash Shonko Studios wasn't bad enough, I decided to come up, yeah, I gotta have the end picture to go along with these videos. So, all right, so let's take a look at my next set of video, my next second video, which would actually include the intro of EMD Train Man slash Shonko Studios with the end on it. So what happened to EMD Train Man and Train Board and all this other fun stuff on the YouTube? So although the members of Train Board were very encouraging, when I posted these videos on YouTube, well, the viewers weren't too well received with them, which I can't blame them because looking back on these videos, they're pretty horrible, especially shooting them in a 4 megapixel Kodak camera with my crazy intro barbaric graphics that I decided to create. I'm not even cutting or editing these videos as you see, any type. I'm not even using a tripod. I mean, I could pick on myself all day long of all the things that I did wrong. And so, in 2000, so I did this. I started YouTube as EMD Train Man in 2008, ended it in 2009, closed that account, and decided to open up a different YouTube channel uh, under the USAT G Scale group. And how that got started is I made a post on Trainboard called the USA Trainz G Scale Registry because I loved history and I was trying to gather up history and historical documents and photos on USA Trainz G Scale products because Charlie Rowe Sr. Never documented everything he made, so that's how I started that off and kicked it off. Eventually, I decided to that the post was getting too big, so I decided to move away from Trainboard. I created a Yahoo group when Yahoo was supporting groups back in the day, and called that the USA Trainz Large Scale Enthusiast Group. And then eventually, I outgrew the Yahoo group and decided, okay, the next step would be to open up a website called, and I renamed it the USA Trainz G Scale Group. To go along with that, I created a YouTube channel called the USAT G Scale Group, which was originally intended to support that website. This was in 2010. So after opening up the website, things weren't going the way I wanted them to. Things just weren't working out. Wasn't growing the way I expected it to. There was just a lot of disappointments for me. And as you can see by this video, it has nothing to do with USA Trains. I mean, I'm using the USAT G Scale logo, but in the end, it had nothing to do with USAT Trains. So I was already in the midst of looking at doing other things. And as you see in the beginning, I came up with the new name of Dakman Productions. And so I actually ended up deciding to basically do a spin-off off the USATG Scale group. So the Yahoo, or I mean the YouTube channel was renamed from the USATG Scale group to Dakman Productions. I wanted to keep the YouTube channel separate there of the USATG Scale group on the website. So Dakman Productions was really a spin-off. It was never meant to be, but in actuality, Dakman Productions is is the one thing out of all these things that I've done, which was ended up being successful. In the end, I decided to close the USAT G Scale Group website and just move on to doing Dakman Productions. So I started off doing basically garden railroads, and as my interest changed, I started doing other scales, rail fanning, eventually doing train shows and interviews and stuff like that, and got into doing other things and I was having fun at it, and so I decided to stick with it because I really like doing this, and as you can see, my videos are starting to get better. I'm starting to buy higher quality equipment, and I'm doing you know better things. Eventually to getting to where I'm at today. Now, I'm not going to say I'm some big professional. I'm not by any means. I consider myself still amateur. But, I believe I came a long way looking back at where I started at. So this was actually the very first original Dakman Productions logo. As you can see, uh, my slogan that I originally came up with, it's almost like being there because I had the goal of going to train shows and meets and clubs and all that fun stuff and shooting the video in a way that you were there with me. The Dakman production logo has changed over the years since I decided to stick with the Dakman Productions name. Has gone through many different changes, as you can see right here. Finally, ending up with the last one here, designed in 2023. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time around.